Imagine you hold the key to complete freedom. A life where no one else's opinion controls you, where you don't fear rejection, and where your inner peace is unshakable. But, in the world around you, people are constantly trying to influence your decisions, distract you, and pull you away from your true path. How would you handle that pressure? This is the wisdom Buddha offers us, a path to rise above external noise and unlock your full power by focusing only on yourself. Stop relying on others for your happiness. As the Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This means that true happiness doesn't come from what others say or do. It comes from inside us. When we depend on others for our happiness, whether it's through their approval, praise, or actions, we give them control over our emotions. This often leads to disappointment because no one can make us happy all the time. Buddhism teaches us to look inward for peace and contentment. This means learning to be comfortable with who we are, finding joy in the present moment, and practicing gratitude for what we already have. By practicing self-reliance, we build a strong foundation of inner peace that no one can take away from us. Don't fear being alone. It's where you find true power. As the Buddha said, meditate, live purely, be quiet, do your work with mastery. This teaches us that solitude isn't something to fear. It's actually a place of strength. When we spend time alone, we gain the space to truly understand ourselves, reflect on our thoughts, and grow emotionally and spiritually. Being alone allows us to meditate and focus on our personal growth without distractions. Instead of relying on the company of others for comfort or validation, we learn to be our own best companion. By embracing solitude, we find the inner power and wisdom that helps us navigate life with confidence and clarity. Quit seeking approval from everyone. As Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This means that the approval you truly need is your own, not anyone else's. When we constantly seek validation from others, whether it's through compliments, praise, or acceptance, we lose sight of our own worth and let others control how we feel about ourselves. Buddhism teaches us that real confidence and happiness come from self-acceptance. You don't need to rely on the opinions of others to feel good about who you are. Instead, practice giving yourself the love, kindness, and validation you deserve. The more you approve of yourself, the less you'll depend on others for validation, freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. Don't let rejection break you. Rejection is a natural part of life, but it doesn't define your worth. It's easy to feel discouraged or inadequate when faced with rejection, but Buddhism teaches us to see it differently. Instead of viewing it as a failure, see it as an opportunity for growth and redirection. Sometimes rejection is just life's way of steering you towards something better. As the Buddha said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. In the meantime, make the most of the 3 happy memories you have of someone. This reminds us that letting go with grace is key to finding peace. When you stop taking rejection personally, you free yourself from unnecessary pain and create room for new opportunities. Let go, move forward, and trust that rejection is just a stepping stone on your journey. Stop fearing what others think of you. One of the biggest sources of anxiety is worrying about what others think of us. We often let the opinions of others shape our actions and feelings. However, Buddhism teaches us that other people's judgments are more about them than about us. The only thing that truly matters is how you see yourself and your own actions. As the Buddha said, let none find fault with others. Let none see the omissions and commissions of others, but let one see one's own acts, done and undone. This reminds us to focus on our own journey and stop worrying about what others think. People's opinions are out of your control, and constantly fearing their judgment will only drain your energy. When you let go of this fear, you find freedom and peace in being authentically yourself, sacrificing your peace to please others. Many of us fall into the habit of trying to please everyone around us, whether it's at work, with friends, or even within our families. We bend over backwards to make others happy, often at the cost of our own peace and well-being. However, no matter how hard you try, you can never fully satisfy everyone. This constant effort will only lead to exhaustion and stress. As the Buddha wisely taught, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. This reminds us that peace of mind is far more valuable than trying to meet everyone's expectations. Buddhism encourages us to act with compassion and kindness, but not at the expense of our own inner peace. Set boundaries, say no when necessary, and prioritize your well-being. By honoring your own peace, you bring greater harmony to your life and relationships. By including well-being in your priorities list, you focus on what you can control: yourself. In life, we often get frustrated because we try to control things that are completely out of our hands. We want people to act a certain way, situations to unfold exactly as we imagine, and outcomes to always align with our expectations. However, one of Buddhism's core teachings is that clinging to things beyond our control only causes suffering. The truth is, you cannot control how others behave, how they feel, or what they think. The only thing you do have power over is yourself, your actions, your thoughts, and your reactions. As the Buddha said, rule your mind, or it will rule you. When you focus on mastering your own thoughts and emotions, you gain control over your life. External events, whether positive or negative, will no longer have the power to disturb your inner peace. Realize that people are focused on their own lives, just like us. Believe that people are constantly watching and judging us, but the reality is much simpler. Most people are far too absorbed in their own lives to focus on us. Understandable? The fear of judgment is one of the biggest reasons we hold back from being our authentic selves. Whether it's worrying about how we dress, speak, or act, we assume others are scrutinizing every detail. As the Buddha taught, your work is to discover your world, and then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. This reminds us that we each have our own unique journey. People are primarily concerned with their own problems, goals, and dreams. Instead of worrying about what others might think, focus on discovering your path and living it fully. When you realize that people are not thinking about you as much as you believe, it lifts a huge weight off your shoulders. You can redirect that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Consider how often you worry about what others think, compared to how much time you spend thinking about your own challenges and goals. The truth is, just like you, most people are preoccupied with their own lives. They have their own dreams, insecurities, and worries to deal with, leaving little time to focus on you. This understanding gives you the freedom to be authentic, make decisions that feel right for you, and pursue your passions without the constant pressure of outside judgment. Buddhism teaches the concept of non-attachment, not just to material things, but also to the opinions of others. When you release yourself from the need for external approval, you allow yourself to live more authentically. Instead of living in fear of others' thoughts, focus on your own growth. This shift in mindset leads to greater confidence and inner peace, because you are no longer a prisoner of other people's judgments. It's also important to understand that everyone is facing their own battles. Just as you may struggle with your own thoughts and emotions, others are dealing with their own issues. Recognizing this helps build empathy and understanding, making it easier to let go of the fear of judgment. People aren't judging you because they are too busy navigating their own struggles. By focusing less on what others think and more on your personal development, you'll start to notice a sense of freedom that wasn't there before. You'll feel lighter, more empowered, and more in control of your own destiny. It's a powerful realization that you don't need to worry about how others perceive you, because they are simply too caught up in their own world. But living authentically and without fear of judgment is key to unlocking your true potential. You'll take more risks, pursue the things that truly bring you joy, and live with a greater sense of purpose. Remember, the world is far too vast, and life is too short to live in the shadows of what others may or may not be thinking. Focus on discovering and fulfilling your own purpose with full dedication. By letting go of the constant need for validation and the fear of judgment, you create a mental and emotional space for self-discovery. This practice leads to a stronger connection with yourself and a deeper understanding of what truly matters in your life. The less you worry about what others think, the more you can focus on what makes you feel fulfilled, peaceful, and content. Don't get caught up in social comparison. The Cliverleys were dead. One of the biggest traps in life is comparing yourself to others. Whether it's comparing your looks, your career, your success, or even your happiness. This habit leads to feelings of envy, inadequacy, and frustration. Buddhism teaches us that comparison is a form of attachment that leads to suffering. By constantly measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of your own unique path and the progress you've made on your journey. As the Buddha said, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. This reminds us that true wealth isn't found in having more than others or being better than others. It's found in contentment. When you are content with what you have and who you are, you experience inner peace. Social comparison, on the other hand, pushes you into a mindset of scarcity, always focusing on what you lack instead of appreciating what you already have. In today's world, social media has made it easier than ever to compare ourselves to others. We scroll through feeds full of pictures of perfect vacations, luxurious lifestyles, and success stories, which can make us feel like we're falling behind. But what we often don't see is the reality behind those photos. The struggles, insecurities, and challenges others face. Everyone's journey is different, and comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is a recipe for unhappiness. Buddhism teaches us the importance of living in the present moment and cultivating gratitude for our own lives. Instead of looking outward to others, turn inward and focus on your own growth. When you practice mindfulness and gratitude, you begin to notice the blessings in your own life and how far you've come. The more you appreciate what you have, the less you feel the need to compare yourself to others. Comparison often leads to a sense of competition, which can breed jealousy and resentment. In Buddhism, these emotions are seen as harmful because they cloud the mind and take us away from our path to peace. When you're constantly competing with others, you're never satisfied. This mindset robs you of the joy that comes from living authentically. Recognize that everyone's path is different, and the success of others does not diminish your own progress or potential. A key Buddhist concept is the idea of right livelihood, which encourages living in a way that brings harmony and balance. Part of this balance is accepting that your life doesn't need to look like someone else's for it to be fulfilling. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on living according to your own values and goals, you begin to experience true contentment. Your self-worth no longer depends on external standards or achievements, but instead is rooted in inner peace and self-acceptance. By practicing non-attachment, you can break free from the cycle of comparison. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals or strive for success. Rather, it means recognizing that your value is not dependent on outperforming others. Your value comes from being true to yourself and your journey. When you realize this, you free yourself from the pressure to constantly measure up to others and instead focus on what brings you genuine joy and fulfillment. Another aspect to consider is how comparison steals your time and energy. The time you spend thinking about someone else's achievements or lifestyle is time you could use to work on your own growth and well-being. Instead of envying someone else's success, ask yourself how you can improve your own life in ways that are meaningful to you. When you focus on your own progress, you'll begin to see how much you've grown and what you're capable of achieving, which builds confidence and self-respect. Remember that life is not a race. Each of us has our own timing, challenges, and lessons to learn. What matters is not how you compare to others, but how true you are to your own path. When you stop comparing and start focusing on your own journey, you will find a sense of peace and fulfillment that no external achievement can provide. 10. Prioritize your inner growth over external validation. F. In today's world, many of us are conditioned to seek external validation. Whether it's approval from family, recognition from colleagues, or likes and comments on social media, we often look to others to feel good about ourselves. But Buddhism teaches us that true peace and fulfillment come from within. The more we chase external validation, the more we move away from our true selves. Our self-worth becomes dependent on how others see us, which creates a cycle of dissatisfaction and insecurity. As the Buddha wisely said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." This quote emphasizes the power of your inner world. If you focus on your own growth mindset and self-awarenesses, you become stronger and more at peace. On the other hand, if your thoughts are constantly seeking external approval, you become trapped by the opinions of others. In Buddhism, the path to enlightenment is rooted in self-awareness, mindfulness, and inner transformation. By focusing on your inner growth, you can cultivate a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external validation can provide.